This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/get started. That's GREENLIGHT.com/get started.
I mean, it's just so good, right?
Oh, and Alan Ritchson is perfect.
Oh, you guys talking about Reacher?
So good, right?
So fucking good.
I mean,
Loved it.
He's like, I just watched you gouge out a guy's eyes.
He started it.
You're right.
He's like
so good.
he's like Sherlock Holmes but with headbutts, right?
So many headbutts.
So many.
Aggressive headbutts.
Guys, you gonna come through the door to the studio?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll be there in a second. Dude, I gotta say, they cleaned up the killing floor so well.
Right?
I was thinking the same thing because, like, the book it's his first one. It's pretty sloppy, but they really fleshed out the characters.
Yeah, great
'Cause
job.
usually you guys come in and then I do thematic
Yeah.
shenanigans that are based on the
Yeah,
show.
we know. We're talking. Yeah. So season 2?
Oh, honestly, the book's in order, right? They're just gonna do it in order.
Obviously, yeah.
Sometimes the person who isn't outside the door is also part of the shenanigans. So yeah, hi. So Tom is here too.
Oh my God! Fine. Yep, you guys are dressed like vampires. Okay.
Okay. Those plastic teeth.
Yes.
Were you guys talking about Reacher?
So good, right?
Oh my God, I binged the whole thing last night.
Amazing.
Fuck.
I also have a rubber bat.
Yep.
We see,
Got
man.
it.
We see the bat.
Yep. And a cape.
Hello and
Okay.
welcome to Citation
No.
Bleeded, the podcast where we
come on.
choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and
Not
pretend we're
grammatically accurate.
experts because this is the internet, and that's how it works now. I'm Eli Booznick.
Oh no.
And I thought this was
No.
for the Halloween episode.
makes
Okay,
sense.
I will stop doing that now. I
Gotta
will
stop
stop.
before
Thank
we
you.
started.
Thank you.
1.5 sentences too
You
late.
say
Yep.
1.5?
No, too late. Felt it. I'm Eli Bosnick, and we'll need some co-hosts who are very unclear on the company calendar. First up, two men who it's very important to me don't think too hard about who may or may not be living off their life force, Cecil and Noah.
On recommendation, I gave my energy to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and you see where that got us. Whoops. My bad.
I know this isn't what you were talking about, Eli, but do you guys think that mosquitoes who bite me get high? I feel like they must, right?
At least a little. And also joining us tonight, two of my fellow leeches, Tom and Heath.
Okay. I might be a leech, but I can spell the word leech,
Yeah.
Eli.
You're not involved us in your clumsy setup. You could just say Heath and Tom are here. It's fine. We don't fit into the weird
Yeah.
thing.
It's fine.
It's lazy.
Before I begin tonight, I'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons. Patrons, you are the lifeblood of those podcasts. And
It's
unlike
like weeks
those
and weeks of this.
bloodsuckers,
Weeks and weeks of notes on air. Just
Never
weeks
stop
of
it.
it. When you're in oh my God, it's insane.
listening to this for free, you've got a stake in our success that will
Stake.
always.
Oh,
You guys,
okay.
that's
will
funny
always
because he
be-
spelled it Stake. Jokes are funnier.
Yeah, we have to tell you as a
Yeah,
visual.
just- we
And will
gotta-
always be
Okay.
grateful for
What?
Okay, I'm done.
It
I'm done with
kinda
that.
works.
All
It
right,
kinda
thank
works.
you. If
Yeah.
you'd like to learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Cecil, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about the vampire panic of New England.
All right, and Tom,
Yep.
nobody seems to have frozen to death in this story. You okay, buddy?
Yeah, I am.
all
Eli.
right?
I've warmed up to this topic, actually.
So tell us, Tom, what was the vampire panic of New England?
All right. Well, first, I think it's fair to say that we are now living in an America in crisis. I mean, we're beset by anti-mask, anti-vax, anti-science dipshittery. Dr. Oz, the shill for hire, is threatening to run for political office, and sizable chunk of our populace gets their news from a guy who got famous for coercing strangers to eat bugs and cry about it.
Dan Rather.
No, not Dan Rather. No. That's,
Also Dan
okay.
Rather.
And listen, all that is true. And it's just that
Except Dan
except
Rather.
for the Dan Rather. None of
Dan
that.
Rather posts
Anything
that.
that Eli says, definitely not true. It is all just the tip of the shit iceberg. But in this episode, I'm going to do something new and very different for me. I'm going to give you guys some hope in the form of perspective. Because as bad and as stupid and as pointless as things may seem now, one only has to hearken back into American history to realize that, incredible as it may seem, shit used to be worse. A whole lot worse. This is our opportunity to sit back with smug grins and pat ourselves on the back because, hey, some of us might be drinking our own urine instead of taking medicine to prevent disease, but at least we're not eating our children's hearts, which we did for more than 100 years to avoid vampires.
Okay, speak for yourself, Tom. You never brought a bee home to your Jewish mother, all right?
Did she eat your heart?
Like, metaphorically? Okay.
Yeah.
This is the story of the American vampire panic. And to understand this, in many ways, is to understand other historical and contemporary panics, because they are all fundamentally the same. When people are presented with problems which seem confusing, intractable, and lacking a clear villain, we have a tendency to create a monster or villain to simplify problems we don't understand and to give us something or someone to rally against.
Like Dr. Fauci. Okay, makes sense.
Actually, exactly like Dr. Fauci,
Exactly
unfortunately.
like
That joke is too real, Cecil. It hurts me. Now, look, whether it's witches in the 1600s, immigrants pretty much always, or vampires in the 1800s, social villainy panics pop up to give us someone or something to focus our confusion, our grief, our rage, and our ire at. And crazily, 200 years after the Salem witch trials in New England, America, people were shitting themselves in fear of vampires, a vampire panic which would last 4 generations.
Okay, so like I got to be honest with you though. When I first saw the title, I assumed this would be something that happened in like the 80s. So I'm kind of impressed.
I've always wanted to get vampires. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like a big
Would you take them up on the offer?
It just seems like you get
Would you do it?
Superpowers. They fuck a lot, right? They do a bunch of like cool fucking.
You don't die.
and
Yeah,
mostly
that's nice.
immortal for them. You know, that's good stuff.
I feel like if you got vampired, your life would change 0%. Can I give you that feedback?
I would have more sex.
I'd live longer.
Just to understand how and why New England America was losing their mind in fear of vampires, we have to set some context. First, the vampire itself was not a new concept. Vampires were part of a long-standing Slavic folklore, and America had plenty of immigrants of Slavic origin who had settled throughout New England, bringing with them their vampire mythology. But what America also had, and this is actually the important part of the story, is a very serious tuberculosis problem. Crazily, the vampire folklore would collide with the scourge of TB, which was ripping through New England to create this panic.
Just a vampire getting ready to bite someone, pulls a small little packet out of his wallet, has trouble opening it, and then folds into a mouth guard for him so he can bite the TB person.
The vampire dental dam? Just
Exactly.
I'm trying to unroll it backwards. It hurts. It's just pinching. It's just pinching.
Can I still use it if I used it wrong for like a second at the very beginning there?
Oh, I poked through again.
What if I just stop biting you at the right time?
I promise, I'm really good at stopping biting
just the tip of the fang. Just let me get the tip of the fang in there. Just the
Don't
tip.
you trust me?
So
It feels weird. It feels weird to bite you.
You're my only blood doll. Just you. I don't go to anyone else.
What if I bite your ass? That's safe, right?
So how bad was the TB problem? I don't know how to transition out of that.
no,
So
there's
there's
just
just
gotta go.
It's a clean cut. It'll be fine. Just
long
go.
pregnant pause happened.
Just go.
So how bad was the TB problem in America in the 1800s? Pretty much as bad as you can imagine, and then much worse.
Okay, Tom, I can imagine 100% of people got it and their dicks all exploded. Now you look stupid.
Do I look stupid?
A lot of people don't have dicks.
I don't feel like I look stupid. Anyway, beginning in the 1730s, tuberculosis began to spread through
None
New
of them
England.
do after they all explode.
TB, also known as consumption, is a genuinely awful disease. First, it is fantastically contagious. According to an article from the Smithsonian, consumption had become the leading cause of death by the 1800s. That is no small feat when you consider that there were rather a lot of competitors for killing people at this time, like the goddamn Civil War.
Wow.
TB was, by some accounts, responsible for as many as a quarter of all deaths during this time.
Jesus. Yeah, well, and given the two problems of an infectious disease and a mythical beast of lore, there was never any doubt as to which the Americans were going to take seriously. Yeah.
Like
Also,
Cecil
fun
said.
fact, COVID is like 1.5 civil wars in terms of American death right now. So far.
Yeah,
Fun fact.
that's so fun.
Fun.
But in the later half, all the right people are dying. It's like if just the Southerners lost in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah. So, positive spin. Thank you, Eli.
You're welcome.
It's a much,
actually
it's
do
a
feel
much
better.
more fun fact. Yeah.
I actually do feel better now.
So now that name,
They're gonna die.
consumption, that was no mistake. Important to the vampire story, the progression of TB seemed to consume the inflicted. The disease could at times take years to claim a life, all the while causing terrible symptoms, including fevers, a hacking bloody cough, and a slow wasting of the body. Described in one 18th century newspaper, quote, "The emaciated figure strikes one with terror. The forehead covered with drops of sweat, the cheeks painted with a livid crimson, the eyes sunk, the breath offensive, quick and laborious, and the cough so incessant as to scarce allow the wretched sufferer time to tell his complaints." In short, those suffering from TB seem to have the very life drained from them by an invisible force. Spoiler, it's a bacterium, but it's,
Okay, but Tom, 3/4 of people didn't die from it. We can't live in fear forever, okay? Want to go to brunch?
fuck you. All right, but TB didn't always take years. Some people would contract TB and remain asymptomatic for years before exhibiting any symptoms. And then others would get sick quickly, and the disease would cause terrible damage very swiftly. This was classified as the galloping form of TB. And doctors at
That's a
this
weird
time,
pick.
they had
The terminology.
no clue about how any of this worked, just none. Some patients got sick and died quickly, others languished for years, while still others seemed to fare rather well despite their infections. Medicine at the time was not up to the task of dealing with this. Recommendations for those with TB included drinking water with brown sugar in it, moving out of New England to more arid climes, and crazily horseback riding. But like
Really?
prescription horseback riding.
Yeah, pharmacy biscuit.
Seattle flu shit. No, I didn't have it. I didn't have it.
Gallipator. No, that's not. That's stupid.
Yeah,
Mr.
Lipitor.
Sudafed. So, okay.
That was very good.
It's scary that, I mean, like back then, it just stupid, old timey, they're resorting to horse medicine. That must have been terrifying. I can't even imagine. It's like a really serious thing
Jesus
going on in there, like
Christ.
horse medicine. This will be fine.
So nobody understood what even caused disease, much less consumption, which did not prevent anyone from wildly speculating about it. We know that TB is a respiratory illness caused by a bacterial infection. The treatment is antibiotics, but at this point in history, no one knew a goddamn thing about how these things worked. Doctors blamed TB on drunkenness and on being poor. They treated TB the way modern Republicans treat, well, actually any social problem. Any social problem.
Right, right.
Right. Which is weird because most of them do that while drunkenly poor.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
And one more bit of context. Rural New England in the latter part of the 1800s, this was not good times.
No?
Huge numbers of young men had gone off to war never to return. Jobs were scarce for those who stayed, and so many young people just didn't stay. Towns up and down rural New England were full of so many deserted farms that this was a very strange thing to read. Governments took back large swaths of private property so they could, and I cannot imagine how this solved anything, burn the abandoned farmhouses to the ground. Now, much of the land itself was far from fertile, being described in many places as being full of, quote, rocks, and more rocks, end quote. So things were fairly desperate.
Also, a bunch of burned farmhouses. Yeah, right. Did that make it better?
Slightly charred rocks.
All right. Well, Tom is just describing New England in the past tense. So while we sternly show him Google Maps, let's take a little break for apropos of nothing.
From the makers of I, Frankenstein and Vampire Hunter comes a new chapter in horror. When vampires invade New England.
I'm afraid there is no escape, Miss O'Reilly. Your blood is mine.
Oh no, he's gonna fucking bite me in my junk and stuff.
Only one man can stand against them.
Oh no, you fucking don't, buddy.
Mark Wahlberg is Abraham Van Helsing.
Ain't no Chinese guy gonna touch my girl.
Yeah, you fucking tell him.
Wait, what? I'm not Chinese. I am a vampire.
Tell it to the judge.
This summer, Boston Red Sox.
And we're back. And we probably shouldn't do a live show in Boston for a little while. What happened next, Tom?
All right, well, now come the vampires. Kind of. All right, imagine the scenario. You are a rural New England dirt farmer.
No.
Yeah, suck it. No one around you knows how anything works, and you know even less. Your town has been emptied out like a Twilight Zone episode, and people all around you are wasting away despite copious horseback rides, and nobody knows why. Suddenly, one of your family members, perhaps your son, begins coughing up blood. Things don't look good. Perhaps because of the equestrian therapy, they seem to have the galloping version, and so they succumb fairly swiftly.
Were those related?
You bury them. Time passes when another family member begins to cough and sweat and wither before your eyes. Again, things not looking so good. In fact, it appears that the same ailment which just claimed your son has its hooks in someone else, and the noose is tightening around you. You realize this isn't a disease of poverty and drunkenness. It's clear now what is happening. Your dead son isn't dead at all, but is in fact a vampire returning from the grave to suck the life force from others in your family.
Got it.
I don't want to throw a wrench in things here, rural New England farmer, but have you considered it's the horse that's doing this?
I mean, it's a better theory than it was the first victim. That's a weird way to solve
I know.
It's the perfect crime, though, right? That's how Kennedy did it.
Yeah, is everybody just murder-suicide? Suicide-murder is way harder for them to figure out.
Interesting.
So now in the absence of real knowledge, or the ability to even get closer to real knowledge, rural New England farmers became obsessed with the idea of vampires. Consumption was not a disease which spread from person to person. That's ridiculous. Consumption was the result of vampires attacking people and sucking out their precious, precious life energy, and something would clearly need to be done about this.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, say what you will about hydroxychloroquine, but at least you didn't have to stab anybody in the heart with it. So, okay, yeah.
Yet.
Could be worse. Yeah,
Yet.
okay, all right.
Now, obviously, it wasn't enough to merely suspect that some dead guy was a vampire. Proof was, of course, required. The first step was to exhume the buried corpse of the suspected vampire and then examine it for signs of vampirism.
Okay, just quick thing. Isn't being dead from TB a sign of not being a vampire, like for surezies?
Okay. All right. Bring some of that science back to the 1800s there, Heath.
We'll just talk to one of the Slavic people that don't think that's the lore. It's very clear on this. I don't think they can die of TB. That's not a thing.
So signs of vampirism include bloating, blood on the face, around the nose and mouth, fingernails, which have grown after death, and then blood in the heart and organs. I know what you're thinking. Tom, that's just corpse stuff. Yeah, sure, it is. That's corpse stuff. All of these things are just things that happen to our meat sacks when we die. We rot and we fill with gas and we bloat. We leak fluids just fucking all over. Our skin retracts, which makes our nails look longer, and blood coagulates and then liquefies. What amuses me so much
about bloated corpses.
Okay. Okay, when you pause like that, it makes me feel weird. Awkward for me.
Please proceed, Tom.
Okay, what amuses me so much, thank you, is that these are supposed to be the things that are not supposed to happen to the dead, but they are, in fact, exactly the things that happen to the dead. If your standard for finding vampires includes looking for the inevitable signs of decomposition, you are going to find a lot of vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Bloating with gas and leaking fluids. That's not just corpses. 4 out of 5 of those are me after a big dinner. Get out of here.
His fingernails reach his wrists if you give him a pork chop. It's fucking weird. I don't know why.
And they did. They found a lot of vampires all over New England. Now, in some states, the vampire hunts, they were quiet, private affairs, often involving only the family and a few close, like, corpse examining friends. In other areas, these were big deal events with hundreds of people flocking to the vampire hunt and local officials, well, officiating the event. It was vampire season in America, and the hunting was excellent.
Okay, I was thinking about this. Every pitchfork mob, they got to have a few people who like don't really care. And those people make me happy. There's got to be a few, like, you know, the kid whose dad's making them play Little League, and they're just like, all right.
Kill the beast. Kill the beast.
Oh, whatever.
I'm exhausted.
Once a vampire is confirmed through the rigorous testing process of digging up corpses, cutting them open, and seeing how much blood is inside the muck, the vampire's evil life force sucking ways then have to be stopped. Again, significant regional differences in how to stop vampires. In Maine, the vampires are just turned over. So they were laying on their bellies. I guess like Maine vampires are so full of lobster rolls, they're immobilized when placed upon their tum-tums. I don't know.
Lobster rolls are delicious.
In Vermont and Connecticut, the vampires are made of tougher stuff, and they needed to be dealt with much more harshly.
Yeah, they needed to be burped before they were put down on their belly. That's
Main vampire ends up in the center of the earth. Okay, you got me. Magma.
So to kill a vampire in Vermont and Connecticut, you could use the traditional stake through the chest. Interestingly, the goal of staking a vampire here was to literally fasten it down to prevent the undead from rising. Mm-hmm. The stake itself didn't appear to have any magical properties. Other options include beheading, always a fine choice, binding the feet with thorns, just smashing the corpse and then rearranging the bones, and then most frequently, removing the heart and burning it.
Sorry, just circling back. Why would you smash the corpse, take the bones out, and then put them back, rearrange?
You just, I figure you take one big leg bone with you or something. Yeah.
At least take an important one, but really just they're out now. Like what?
And actually, I didn't put this in the essay, but actually when they rearranged them, they often rearranged them so they looked, and I'm not kidding, so they looked like the Jolly Roger. So they would cross the femur bones and then put the skull, and it really did. They rearranged them so they very often looked like the Jolly Roger.
To look like the pirate flag?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I would enjoy it if like a vampire came back with like arms as legs and legs as arms.
Yeah.
Like,
right? Just comes hopping out of the grave, crisscross applesauce at you. Okay, now I'm going to fucking bite you, asshole. I look like Zangief.
All right, you know what? I withdraw the question. That would be awesome. That's maybe probably,
Science.
So again, removing the heart and burning it, that was not uncommon, but nor was it a clandestine practice. In 1793 in Manchester, a local official presided over a heart-burning ceremony, which took place at the local blacksmith's forge. The local paper had this to say, quote, Timothy Meade officiated at the altar in the sacrifice to the demon vampire, who was believed was still sucking the blood out of the then living wife of Captain Burton. It was the month of February and good slaying.
What?
Hey, hon. Hun, tell the kids to get the sleds and to avoid the Mead's house. Not in that order. Not in that order.
Yeah, you know what? This is actually the first time it's occurred to me that song could be about a one-horse open murder.
Oh.
So I want to leave this episode now with the story of the last known vampire exhumation that we have written record of. It took place in 1892. 1892 is not far back enough, by the way.
Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
No, that is vastly, wildly inaccurate. Just
why wouldn't it rhyme?
Terrified.
Lord Stanley donated the cup.
How little you know about things.
To Christopher Columbus.
Jesus.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Who's Lord Stanley?
Mr. Stanley's son.
Nailed it.
So this is the story of Mercy Brown, whose family called her Lena. Now, Lena lived in Exeter, Rhode Island. Exeter was one of the aforementioned unpopulated little rural garbage towns. It was such garbage it was known actually as deserted Exeter. The population of Exeter, because of war and disease, had dropped from 2,500 down to 961 from 1820 to 1892. Lena's problems began in 1882 when her family began to get sick and die. Lena's mother died first, followed by Lena's sister the next year, and a few years later, Lena's brother Edwin got sick as well and left town to, quote, catch the air, end quote, as they say in Colorado Springs. Lena was still just a child when she lost almost her whole family.
Oh, thank you for pausing for jokes here, Tom. Great chance to get my yucks in.
Yeah,
See,
right.
I thought I'd give you a second. Now, a decade later, Lena fell ill, and not with the slow, insidious TB, but with the vicious, swift, galloping version. Her brother...
Was there like a medium canter? Trot?
Now, her brother Edwin was having some success with a brief remission and returned to Exeter from Colorado to be with his sister. Lena succumbed to tuberculosis in the January of 1892, and shortly thereafter, her brother Edwin began to relapse and worsen.
Vampire's just rubbing his hands. Oh, yeah, delivery.
The neighbors were completely freaked the fuck out. The whole damn family was wasting away. This looked like classic vampire shit. After all, Lena died, and then Edwin started getting worse. What could explain that other than Lena turning into a vampire after death and sucking the life force from her sick brother who rushed to her bedside at her hour of need? Vampire stuff here. So the neighbors pressured the hell out of George, Lena's father, to check the graves of his family for signs of vampires. And, you know, it's not like there was any medicine to try. So if there was any hope of saving Edwin, this was kind of it. Now, George reluctantly gave permission to the neighbors to dig up his dead family and then, you know, root around in their chests to see if their hearts had fresh blood in them. So on March 17th, 1892, a party of men, as well as the family doctor and a correspondent for the Journal newspaper, trudged over to the family cemetery to dig up George's family. George stayed home because, oh my fucking God, of course he did. Kidding, right?
What's 1892? We're 100 plus years of this shit. How did nobody notice that, like, no one stopped having TB after they did this shit?
Literally 4 generations did this. Selena's sister and mother, they were 10 years dead when they were dug up, so they were pretty much just bones. But Lena's body, remarkably fresh. Now, when I say remarkably, what I mean is predictably. Look at the timeline. Lena died in the winter in Rhode Island. She was buried in the winter and then dug up in the winter. She was basically flash frozen, but that did nothing to dissuade the credulous vampire dipshits. Quote, the body was in a fairly well-preserved state. The heart and liver were removed, and in cutting open the heart, clotted and decomposed blood was found, end quote. Now, the family doctor took a look at the lungs and was like, yeah, it's fucking tuberculosis in there, guys.
So, Doc, you're saying the vampire attacked someone with tuberculosis. Good to know. Good to know.
That'll probably slow him down. That's great.
All right, so, I don't know, man. There was blood in the organ that pumps blood.
Yeah.
So definitely not tuberculosis, a scary disease that was untreatable and poorly understood. No. The villain here was definitely vampires. The villagers took the heart, and I love this line. They, quote, burned it on a rock, end quote. Now, I need a Bic lighter and a half a gallon of charcoal lighter fluid to get the coals hot in my grill. And these guys are setting fire to a rotting, goopy heart that they put on a rock. This is the part of the story I'm most impressed by, because the next thing they did was they feed the ashes of the burnt heart to Edwin.
Why?
Now, I read 2 different accounts of this story. In one, they mix Lena's heart ashes with water to make a kind of decomposed burnt sister heart tea. Cool. And in
That's
the
like
other,
my
they
favorite
just
Bigelow tea, by the way, my favorite.
in the other story, they just say they feed this guy the ashes, just straight up eat some ashes, asshole. Now, despite what was clearly the best science of the age, Edwin died of fucking tuberculosis 2 months later, probably still trying to get that taste out of his mouth.
I like to think when they did cook the heart on a nice, large, flat rock, they did it with a little Benihana flair. You know what I mean? Toss it up in the air. You know,
right.
Catching it in their hat and shit.
Awful to watch them burn the heart of my little girl like that. Except for the onion volcano. The onion volcano was cool. That was cool. Otherwise, pretty sad.
The story of Lena's exhumation and heart cremation snack situation made the paper, and this really marked the end of the vampire panic. At this point, this shit had been going on for 100 years, and it was honestly getting kind of embarrassing. And pressure from outside brought an end to the panic. The world was ready to try to move on from this superstition to embrace others, such as trickle-down economics, climate change denial, the satanic panic, and the new and improved satanic panic starring the internet, QAnon.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. And
Yeah.
if you had to summarize what you've learned in one sentence, what would it be?
Something, eat your heart out.
All right, Tom. Are you ready for the quiz?
I am bloated with excitement.
All right, Tom. What is the best vampire meal delivery service?
Oh, God.
A, GoreDash. B, Ghostmates. C, Instaheart. Or D, HelloFresh.
Holy shit! HelloFresh wins! HelloFresh! Boom!
All right.
They're all so good.
Sure.
Amazing.
HelloFresh fucking wins all day
I don't
long.
like going after Cecil on puns. Okay.
Do you want me to go? No.
Anyways, so once you've extracted the heart, what's the best way to burn it, Tom?
Yeah, okay.
A, use a twilighter. It just goes downhill from here. B,
novels.
grill it with a steak. AKE steak. Okay. All right. No. C, put it in an industrial furnace, but make sure you hire a good stoker.
Sure.
Oh, no. Sure. Oh, no. I got one more. D, you put it on a vampire.
Oh, these are very good. Oh, these are very good.
Oh, man. I don't know. You know what? I'm
Nor
going to go
do
with
I.
C.
That was
I'm going to
correct.
go
That
with the
was correct.
stoker. I'm going to go with the stoker. That's good.
Sure, why not? It was C,
All right.
stoker.
All right, Tom.
Yes.
Fun's over. What was the anthem of the New England vampire panic? A, Shipping Up to Boston by the Drop Dead Murphys. B, that's the best one. So
Started strong. He started strong.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good strategy. Go
My
ahead.
favorite thing about the Eli puns is when he tells one of them, and there's this long dead silence afterwards where you're trying to figure out what happened here.
Yes.
Okay, what's the second
Sure.
one?
B, a goose sport state of mind.
What?
I don't.
New York
New York's
state
not
of
part of New England.
goose sport. C,
What's the
a hunk of burning love.
What is that? Don't.
I don't understand.
Secret
the second
answer
one at
D.
all.
None of those were any good.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Tom.
Was that was correct?
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
it.
sure.
Nailed it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
He
Nailed
wasn't
it.
wrong. Tom, one more for you.
All right.
Which of the following is the best restaurant for eating the heart of your vampire sister?
All right.
A, Quiznos Ferratu.
So good.
B. Chupacabras Italian Grill.
Amazing.
Chupacabras. Or C. Buffet the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, Buffet the Vampire Slayer is so good.
So good.
But I feel like you're tricking me. I feel like it's still A because the mascots from a few years ago are clearly the giveaway.
No, it actually, I tricked you and I win.
You
I
did.
think. Right?
The game is that
he
you
wins.
win.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I don't
Next week,
understand this
let's
game.
hear something from No Illusions.
All right. Well, for Cecil, Noah, Heath, and Tom, I'm Eli Bosnick, thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Noah will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can hear Tom and Cecil turn the cogs over at Cognitive Dissonance, and you can hear me, Noah, and Heath put the scat and scathing atheist, the god and god-awful movies, the skeptic and skeptocrat. We also have a show
scat.
called D&D minus, but I'm allowed to put the D in that one.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to keep this show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com. All right, babe. Now that I saved you from that Chinese guy, let's make out in front of everybody in this movie theater line.
Fuck yeah, we will.